everyone, it's me, Brooke. If you've ever had your voice dismissed, your stories called boring, or your personality mocked by the person who is supposed to love you most, especially on a platform with millions of listeners, then this story will hit hard. This is my revenge recall, how I endured years of public humiliation as the dull wife on my husband's chart-topping podcast, quietly walked away with our little girl, built a bigger, more meaningful show from scratch, and years later returned as the keynote speaker at the podcast festival he was headlining. I was 32 when I finally left, but let me take you back to where it all started. I met Nathan when I was 26. He was already building his podcast, raw, funny, unfiltered takes on life, relationships, and pop culture. I was a content writer with a knack for storytelling, and when we started dating, he brought me on as an occasional co-host. Listeners loved our chemistry. "You two are so real together," they'd write. We got married fast, had our daughter Ellie, and for a while it felt like we were a team. I helped shape early episodes, researching topics, writing segments, even editing late into the night while Ellie slept. The show exploded. Sponsorships rolled in, live tours sold out, media features everywhere. Nathan became the face. Charismatic, quick-witted, the guy everyone wanted to grab a beer with. But behind the mics, things shifted. On air, his jokes about me started small. "Brooke's trying to tell a story again, folks, grab coffee. This might take a while." Laughter from the guests.
Downloadspaket.
Then it became a running bit. "My wife's the queen of boring anecdotes. Thank God I'm here to save the episode." Fans ate it up in the comments. "Nathan carrying the show as usual. Brooke, love you, but yeah." I'd laugh along on the recordings, but inside I shrank. At home he'd say, "It's just banter, babe. It's what the audience wants. You're too sensitive." When I asked to contribute more ideas, he'd brush me off. "You don't get the vibe anymore. Post, baby. You're just different." He controlled everything, guest bookings, episode topics, even my wardrobe for live shows. Wear something fun, not mom jeans. My best friend Lila had been our producer from the beginning. She was always around, late-night recordings, tour planning. I trusted her completely. She'd hug me after tough episodes and say, "He doesn't mean it, Brooke. It's just his brand." But I started noticing the shifts. The way they finished each other's jokes before I could. The private Slack channel I wasn't added to. One night, I woke up to use the bathroom and saw his phone light up on the nightstand. "Nathan, you actually get me." She never did. "Lila, tonight was fun. Can't wait for the next late edit session." My stomach dropped. The next morning, after he left for a sponsor meeting, I confronted him. "Nathan, are you sleeping with Lila?" He didn't even pause, slicing his avocado toast. Just chuckled. "Brooke, come on. You're hearing things again. Lila and I are just in sync creatively. You've been so checked out since Ellie. I need someone who can keep up." But the messages. "You're paranoid. Honestly, if you spent less time overthinking and more time bringing energy to the show, maybe the audience wouldn't call you the weak link." I stood there frozen while Ellie played in the next room. That was the moment something inside me snapped, not loudly, but quietly. Irreversibly. The breaking point came at his sold-out live anniversary show. 10,000 people in the arena. He brought me on stage for the fan-favorite segment, the wife roast. Give it up for Brooke, everyone. The woman who can turn any exciting story into a lullaby. The crowd roared with laughter. Giant screens showed my forced smile. Hashtag Nathan and Brooke trended with memes of me looking bored. I waved, played along, heart pounding in my ears. Backstage afterward, fans asked for selfies with him only. One even said loudly, "You're way funnier without her, man." That night, while he celebrated with the team, I went home, packed 2 suitcases, buckled Ellie into her car seat while she slept, and left a short note on his recording desk. "I'm taking my stories somewhere they're appreciated." We drove through the night to my mom's place 4 states away. No big fight. No screaming match. Just silence, tears, and the start of freedom. Those first couple of years after leaving were a fog of exhaustion, doubt, and quiet determination. Ellie was only 5, asking why we couldn't go home to Daddy's funny microphone room anymore. I crashed with my mom, took freelance writing gigs that paid pennies, and recorded my first solo episodes on a borrowed laptop in the laundry room after Ellie went to bed. The show was called Real Talks. No guests at first, just me sharing raw stories about motherhood, self-doubt, healing from emotional burnout. I posted them with zero polish, shaky audio, no intro music, captions typed on my phone. But something happened. Women listened. They messaged me saying, "I feel like you're in my head." My partner does the same jokes. "Thank you for saying it's not okay." Downloads grew slowly, then faster. A small mental health brand sponsored an episode. Then a bigger one. I invested every dollar back in better mic, simple editing software, consistent schedule. By Ellie's 8th birthday, Real Talks hit the top 10 in mental health charts. Major platforms reached out. I signed with a network, hired a tiny team, started booking guests who'd been through hell and come out stronger. Life transformed. We moved into a sunny apartment with a little balcony where Ellie grew flowers. I took her on tour stops, backstage passes, sound checks, ice cream after shows. My audience became a community. Live events sold out, Patreon thrived, I launched online courses on boundaries and self-worth. For the first time, my voice wasn't filtered through someone else's approval. It was mine, clear, strong, heard by millions. I kept loose tabs on Nathan. His show kept dominating charts, expanded to video, landed huge endorsement deals. He and Lila became the new power couple of podcasting, matching outfits at award shows, joint interviews about finding creative synergy after personal growth. They got engaged on a live episode, fans sending congratulations by the thousands. He posted father-daughter photos on the rare weekends he took Ellie, carefully curated, always with a caption, "Best part of my week." Comments gushed, "What a great dad. You two are goals." I never spoke publicly about what happened. Co-parenting stayed surface-level polite. Emails about pickup times, neutral drop-offs. I focused on building something authentic, not tearing down his facade. Then the email came that changed everything. PodFest, the biggest podcasting festival in the country, attended by tens of thousands, streamed worldwide. They wanted me as the closing keynote speaker for the main stage. Theme: the future of authentic storytelling. I opened the sponsor list and felt my pulse quicken. Top billing: Nathan's Podcast Network. His face was on every promo banner, listed as Saturday night headliner with a live taping of his anniversary special. He was going to be there, center stage, soaking up the applause he'd always craved. My first reaction was to say no. Too risky, too raw. But then I read the fan comments on the announcement. Women tagging me, saying, "We need your voice there." I thought about every message I'd received from listeners who'd left toxic situations because one episode gave them courage. I thought about Ellie, now 10, asking why Daddy never wanted to hear her stories. I replied, yes. The lead-up months were electric. My team and I crafted a keynote that wove personal stories with broader truths about authenticity in media. I rehearsed until it felt natural, warm, powerful, unflinching. But I also prepared for the inevitable, seeing him again, under those massive lights, with the entire industry watching. Festival weekend arrived. I flew in with Ellie, who was thrilled to see the giant stages and meet some of my guests. We stayed in a hotel under my name only. The first day was panels and signings, fans hugging me, sharing how the show saved them. Then came the welcome party. I walked in wearing a simple emerald dress, hair down, feeling steady. Nathan spotted me immediately across the crowded rooftop. That trademark grin flashed, but his eyes were wary. He walked over with Lila on his arm, both in coordinated designer outfits. "Brooke, big keynote, huh? They finally gave you the main stage." His tone light, but edged. I smiled evenly, excited to share some real stories. Lila air-kissed both cheeks. "We're all so proud of how far you've come." Nathan leaned in, voice lower. "Let's keep it professional this weekend, yeah?"
For the industry.
For Ellie. "Of course," I said. I always do. The tension hung thick in the air between us. The festival had barely started, and the real show was about to begin. The festival days blurred into a surreal mix of excitement and quiet adrenaline. I did panels, signed posters, hugged listeners who whispered, "Your show got me through my divorce." Ellie ran around backstage, wide-eyed at the giant screens and celebrity podcasters. Everywhere I went, people buzzed about the closing keynote. Brooke's finally getting the main stage she deserves. Nathan's live anniversary taping was the night before my speech, packed arena, standing ovation, the works. I watched a clip later in my hotel room. He was at his peak, charming guests, dropping classic wife jokes that still got huge laughs, Lila beside him glowing as the perfect co-host. The crowd chanted his name. My chest tightened, old wounds flaring, but I breathed through it. This weekend wasn't about him anymore. The final day. Main stage. 30,000 people in the arena, millions streaming online. The MC introduced me with genuine awe, the voice that turned pain into power, the host of the #1 mental health podcast in the country, Brooke. I walked out to a roar that shook the floor. Ellie waved from the front row, grinning huge. I took the mic, heart pounding but voice steady. I started warm, stories from listeners, laughs about bad Wi-Fi during early recordings, celebrating how far podcasting had come for real voices. The crowd was with me every second. Then I shifted. I want to talk about authenticity. Because for years, I sat beside someone on a very big show while my own voice was edited down, joked about, and slowly erased. The arena quieted fast. I was the original co-host. I helped build that show from nothing. And episode after episode, I was called boring, the weak link, the one dragging the energy down. Said with a laugh, so it sounded harmless. But those jokes weren't banter. They were control. They made me smaller, so someone else could shine brighter. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Phones up everywhere. I smiled through it. I told myself it was just the brand, until I found out the person saving all their real energy, all their late nights, wasn't saving them for me or our daughter. It was for someone else. Someone who then took my place on that very microphone. I paused, letting it land. I left quietly. No public drama, no tell-all interview. Just me, our little girl, and a laptop in my mom's laundry room. And from that place, I built something real. Because authenticity isn't just a buzzword. It's surviving when someone tries to silence you and choosing to speak anyway. I looked straight into the main camera. To every listener who's ever been told their story doesn't matter, their voice is too slow, too sensitive, too much or not enough, you're wrong. Your story is the one people need. The arena erupted. Standing ovation before I even finished. People crying in the front rows. Chants of real talks, echoing off the rafters. On the side stage, I saw Nathan standing frozen, arms crossed tight, face pale under the lights. Lila beside him, staring at the floor. The MC came out, voice thick. I think we all felt that one. During the Q&A, a young woman in the audience asked, "How did you find your voice again after being told for years it wasn't good enough?" I smiled, tears threatening, but voice clear. I stopped waiting for permission from the person who needed me quiet, and I started talking to people who actually wanted to listen. The ovation came again, longer this time. Clips started spreading instantly. #BrookeSpeaks trending worldwide within minutes. Backstage afterward, Nathan cornered me near the green room, security hovering but not needed. "Brooke, that was low. You used the stage to air private laundry in front of the whole industry." I met his eyes, calm.
No, Nathan.
"I told the truth you spent years turning into punchlines. There's a difference." He opened his mouth, closed it, walked away without another word. The comeback wasn't screams or accusations. It was 30,000 people hearing my voice, really hearing it, for the first time without his filter. And it felt like finally exhaling after holding my breath for a decade. The aftermath hit like a wave I'd been waiting for my whole life. Clips of my keynote exploded across every platform: morning news, late-night recaps, podcast roundups. #Real Talks keynote trended for days. My downloads skyrocketed. Listeners old and new flooded my inbox. I left my emotionally abusive partner today because of you. I started my own show after hearing that. Thank you for showing us what authenticity really looks like. Nathan's world cracked wide open. Sponsors paused campaigns. Guests canceled appearances. The network quietly distanced itself. His anniversary episode, the one taped right before my speech, got review bombed into oblivion. Lila stopped posting couple content. Their engagement photos disappeared one by one. The power couple narrative couldn't survive the truth. He sent one email a month later. No subject. Brooke, you won. The industry's turned on me. Downloads are tanking. People unfollow in waves. Ellie hears things at school. Was this worth it? I read it twice. Felt that old tug. The guilt he'd always planted so expertly. Then I opened my recording app and saw the latest listener voicemail, a woman sobbing gratefully because one episode helped her recognize gaslighting in her marriage. I didn't reply to him. Instead, I posted a simple update on my show's feed, a photo of Ellie and me laughing backstage, caption, teaching her that her voice is never boring, that it's powerful exactly as it is. It got more shares than any sponsored post ever could. Years have passed now. Real Talks is one of the biggest podcasts in the world, sold out live tours, a book deal, TV development. Ellie's a teenager, co-hosting occasional episodes about growing up with a mom who found her voice. She's confident, funny, kind, and knows her stories matter. Nathan sold his show to a smaller network, rebranded quietly, stays out of the spotlight. He sees Ellie when he makes the effort, neutral coffee shops, polite conversations. The hold he once had is gone. People still ask in interviews, do you regret going so public? Was it revenge? I always say the same thing. It wasn't revenge. It was refusal. Refusal to let the person who silenced me keep defining my story. The second I spoke my truth without his punchlines, I took back the microphone and I've never handed it over again. If you're listening and you're still laughing along while someone calls your voice boring, your ideas weak, your presence filler, hear me. You can leave quietly. You can start small, one episode, one post, one conversation. You can rebuild until your voice is the one filling arenas. And when you do, you'll realize the only thing that was ever boring was staying silent. That's my recall. Not angry, not bitter, just loud, clear, and finally mine. Thank you for listening. If this resonated, share your voice in the comments. Someone out there needs to hear it today. See you in the next one.